Hello and welcome. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how etiquette will grow your business. Say what? Etiquette? Yes, my friends, it's time to learn this rule of the game. This gold nugget that can and will be transformational as you play the long game and you play to win.
You've tuned into the Better in Business podcast, and I'm your host, Jeannie Savage. I'm a multi-award winning business veteran and head of the Strategic Bookkeeper Network. My network of strategic bookkeepers is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs do better in business. This podcast aims to challenge your thinking. If you're not thinking the right way, how can you act the right way? Each episode will dive into key drivers of success, which I also call the rules of the game. Learn the rules and play to win. Let's go. I like to start every episode by reminding you that it is globally recognized that pillar number one for success is up-to-date, accurate bookkeeping, which is the only way you can see how your business is performing in terms of profit and cash. If your books aren't right up to date, visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper. Fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper. Bookkeeping is a cost, whereas strategic bookkeeping is an investment that averages a 10x return on the fees.
Today's guest is Kristi Spencer. Kristi founded the Polite Company with one goal in mind: to help people present the best version of themselves to the world. Kristi provides personalized in-person and online etiquette lessons to business owners with an emphasis on social skills, self-esteem building, and empathy for others. Kristi helps clients find success in personal and professional relationships, as well as increasing confidence through a better understanding of manners and principles. Kristi's dedication to etiquette is unparalleled. She is a certified etiquette trainer and a graduate of the Emily Post Institute, the gold standard of etiquette training for a century. Kristi's experience in journalism and leadership has spanned over 2 decades. She lives with her hubby and 2 sons in the Midwest of the USA, and she has also lived abroad, which instilled an appreciation for diverse cultures around the world. Welcome to the show, Kristi.
Hi, Jeannie. Thanks for having me.
Etiquette and manners. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited because before the show, Kristi and I were just chatting about it's something that I've really observed in the landscape these days, business and personal, that unfortunately etiquette and manners have really kind of gone out the window. And I think they are something that everybody needs to listen up today, learn this rule of the game. And I'd love to start by just asking you to tell us a bit of, I guess, the fundamentals in a business sense of how we take our manners and our etiquette in, just the basics to start with.
Well, there's 3 principles of etiquette, and the first one is consideration, and that is, thinking of other people and trying to figure out your options in a situation. The second principle is respect, and that is looking at each of those solutions that you've come up with and deciding which one is going to build the relationship. How can I fix a problem or do an introduction or do all of these tasks we have to do, but all the time building the relationship. And the last principle is honesty. And sometimes people think, oh, can you be honest and be polite at the same time? And actually, you have to have honesty and sincerity and be genuine, because you can do everything else right, but if you don't deliver it sincerely, you've lost.
That's amazing. And I'd love to dive into these a little more. I love that you've made them into 3 principles. Again, we were talking before the show that this is something I work on actually every day in my life and my business life as well. I really make a big effort in my business life to have my manners on. And I'm sure, like everyone, I don't always get it right. I'm a very, very honest person, and I have a charter internally with all my team that even when it's hard, we need to find a way to be sincere and honest and have difficult conversations when needed as well. So I agree. I don't think you need to leave honesty out the door when you have your manners on. So would it be okay if we dived into each principle just a little bit more one by one?
Absolutely. So consideration is really that skill of having empathy and being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And it doesn't mean that having empathy means you agree with someone else. It just means that you can see their point of view and that maybe you can share a goal to get there. But it's really being able to think about the other person. And we say, there's the golden rule of treat others like you want to be treated. But then there's that platinum rule, and that's to treat others how they want to be treated. And so that can change from culture to culture or in different situations. But don't think about how you want to be treated. Think about how they want to be treated. And so respect is just looking at all of your options, and it clearly means respecting the other person, but really look at those solutions that you've come up with to help in a difficult situation and evaluate which is the best one. It might not be easiest for me, but what's best for the relationship.
Best one. Okay, because on those, that's really interesting. So I've got a few businesses. In my bookkeeping practice, we have 5 core values, and one of them is empathy. And with the empathy, a little like you're saying, one of the first things we want to do is just try and put ourselves in their shoes and understand where they're at. I've never heard treat others how they want to be treated. That is, and yet we do that in our charter. So what we do from empathy is we say one of the things that we've found that we need to learn with our clients is they all want to communicate in a bit of a different way. So some just love the email. Some never want you to email them. They want you to phone them. Some love a text message. So we've made empathy something where we seek to understand the way that our client would like us to communicate with them. And interestingly, when we survey them each month, the one area that we always get 10 out of 10 is comms. And it seems like a little thing, but it makes such a big difference in their lives. And it took us, as you can imagine, years and years and years to realize this. And I certainly find even for myself, it's great. So we have even video comms and audio comms and all these different things, but it's all linked back to the empathy for that particular client and what suits them. One client, for example, is like, I want one email once a month that tells me everything, and I don't want to hear from you the rest of the time. And I remember having a staff member once refuse to do that. She decided she wanted to do it her way. And that just shows a complete lack of empathy, I'm sure. And so on the respect one, so you were saying it's about evaluating what is best for the client. And if I understand you correctly, that might be a little bit harder for you as a supplier, as a business owner, but it is about evaluating what is best for the client. Is that on the right track there?
Absolutely. And it's, respecting yourself is the same thing. So sometimes, we have to be able to say no. We have to be able to set boundaries, but we can do that while we're still being polite. We can have difficult conversations, but as long as we're respecting the other person, we're going to build that relationship, even though we might not be delivering the best news. So, it's respect for other people, but it's respect for yourself as well.
Really, I can see how this then leads into the honesty. Tell us about the honesty.
So I think that people can spot sarcasm and, someone who is fake and somebody who is going to, lip service and never follow through. That is so easy for people to spot. And it's an instant turnoff. People disconnect. And once you've broken that, it is nearly impossible to get it back. People have so many options of who they can work with that they're not even going to spend time if it's somebody that they can't trust. That's really at the core. So having honesty as one of your core principles and being very congruent, whether that's your values, your mission statement, your social media channels, that consistency builds integrity and it builds trust.
Straight after this podcast, I'm going to do a video because you've actually helped me and hopefully some of the audience may or may not relate to this. So as bookkeepers, I serve the bookkeeping industry as well. One thing we come unstuck a little bit from time to time with, it's happened to me, happens to my amazing right hand, it happens to all bookkeepers, is because we do have to decide, you know what, this is finance, it's serious stuff. We actually need to be honest even when it's really, really hard. But sometimes when we deliver our honesty, it doesn't go down well. But what I've realized is that if we put the consideration and respect piece in first, that this all might be easier, because if we are able to kind of just take a moment, take a breath, because you don't have to deliver that honesty in that second, right? You can think about it. And we say to ourselves, what is that other person or those people feeling right now? And what are they going through? Okay, what is the best solution for them? Yeah. And then how can I be honest with them, but not insult them or offend them, but actually help them see that? And I know there's so many ways to do that, right? There are so many ways, but I feel like that would really certainly help my industry be able to continue being honest. An example of that can be, and these are probably real life examples, where someone might say, I'm really sorry that my wife's been rude to you, Jeannie. She thinks we're losing money. And I say, you are losing money. Whereas if, for example, I was able to stop and say, whatever, or just listen and give him some space to talk, and then say, okay, it is really important to be open to the facts of the numbers. Would you like me to run you through the reality of the profit and loss equation, and maybe seek for permission or something like that? But I can just see how this honesty piece for some of us that sit in compliance and things like that, or anyone out there, might be easier if we lean into consideration and respect first. What do you think?
Well, I think when you say that seek permission, that is so important, because you have to know that that person is in a space where they're receptive to something. And so asking that permission. So, could we talk about something? Could we make a time to talk about this? Because this might not be the right moment. But once you seek that permission and somebody gives it, you'll be surprised how much that opens them to what you're about to say. And so that's very important that you ask that permission and tell somebody, do we have time to talk about this, or can I talk to you about this? And then you start by saying, if this was me and you were telling me, I would want to know, putting yourself in the other person's shoes. And then, again, finding that solution, finding that place where you both want to end up, but doing it in a kind way.
Doing it in a kind way. Yeah. Which, again, sometimes I know in business for us, it's really easy for us to forget about that. Like in personal, the kind feels really easy. And sometimes in business, I know we just think, well, we've just got to deliver the information. But, it doesn't lead to the best outcomes if we don't get this right.
Right. And it's, it's so hard to recover. And I think people spend a lot of time cleaning things up, that if they would have just taken a moment and thought about it and, thought there's 6 different ways I can do this, go from the extreme version to, other versions, and just think about, which one builds, how can I deliver it well and make that person feel like, I value them. And I think that at the end of the day, who's not going to want to do business with somebody like that? That's a win.
Definitely. So now if we were talking about, I'd love to do a bit of an examples of, so let's say we've got our tradies out there and they answer the phone every day, and there's so many different ways. And actually I was talking to my amazing gardener the other day, and I know how busy he is. And what really impressed me is that there was no, I'm really busy, there was no busy tone. You would have thought he was the cruisiest. I'm not busy. I've got all the time in the world. The manners, the etiquette that came through in that entire phone call with me that I just don't see anywhere else. And this is someone with a 2-month wait list. He's just smashing it. Versus, I know it's really easy for a tradie to pick up the phone and say, yeah, hello, what do you want? And they will give you a reason for that. I'm busy, or whatever it is. I'd love for you to talk to us about, etiquette in answering the phone, etiquette in when you meet and greet someone, before you think about the sale, the customer, anything, just the first 30 seconds of that interaction, or sometimes it's even less, what we do and why it's important.
I think, it's body language is so much of what we do. So, when we communicate with somebody, it's about 7% of the actual words that we choose and about over 50% of our body language. And so, it's having your toes pointed at somebody. It's having your shoulders pointed at them. It's, if you're up to shaking hands, which we're going to get back to that, but I think that there's still going to be some people who are uncomfortable. If you're not comfortable, setting that before somebody puts their hand out, By the time somebody puts their hand out, you best be grabbing it to make a good handshake. And that's that sincerity coming through. So you want to shake their hand, but you can't do it halfway. I mean, that's like the dead fish, handshake, and that's a horrible thing. So that's that sincerity, is to follow through with that confidence. So I think it's just that eye contact. It's smiling, and it's asking somebody about themselves, and just making that conversation go, but it does have to be genuine. It can't be fake. You can't be, eyes not looking at them, looking around the room. You really just have to be present in the moment and be ready for what you're doing. And that might be when you're answering the phone. If you don't have time to have that polite conversation or take a little bit of time for somebody, let it go to voicemail, and then pick that appropriate time.
Yeah, we have a 24/7 reception service for our website, and it's really cheap, right? But it's a great service. So these little things are available to all business owners, right? I love that you said, if that's the case, don't answer the phone. And I love this body language, but being present, right? We were talking about before the show about that manners and social skills and etiquette. This is learned behavior. And I have a neurodiverse child who had none of the ability he had 5%, they classified his ability with social skills. And we were just saying, at 12 years of age, he now has this beautiful manners, etiquette, social skills really coming along. So this is learned things. And I think one thing I see, because I work with a lot of accountants, and I find accountants can sometimes lack a few of those social skills. Probably, again, they're really intelligent people. They're similar to my young son. And what I notice is sometimes they don't make the eye contact. They look around while you're talking to them. There's this, are you really being present? These kind of things. And then I love when you said, ask a question about the other person, because just, hi, how are you, is a question show, isn't it? Yeah, because I remember I went to a networking event once, and somebody brought a new accountant over, and they said, oh, Jeannie, this is an accountant, you're a bookkeeper, we thought maybe you'd like to meet. And I said, hi, I'm Jeannie. And he said, oh, hi, Jeannie, all the bookkeepers I know are terrible. And I thought, nice to meet you. In his own way, he was making an effort. But sadly, I think, you would probably say the better opportunity was to play the long game and just say, hi, I'm Jack. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
That would have definitely been an improvement over what happened. But if you could send that guy a thank you note, I would, because he taught you exactly what not to do, which has value in and of itself. But yeah, that's a terrible opening.
Yeah, so I'd love the audience to stop right now and think about your openings. If you're a busy tradie, I know in Australia they're all like, we call them blue ass flies. They're so busy. When you answer the phone, how are you opening? When you meet someone, how are you opening? Because you know what, Kristi, you're right. When the accountant did that, because I wouldn't say I'm someone that was born with all natural social skills. My little boy got his stuff from someone, right? But it did really remind me in that moment, wow, that's not something that wins friends and influences people. And since that day, it's kind of stuck in my head. And I try and slow down and play the long game and remind myself when I meet people, whether it's on the phone or face to face, the first thing I'm doing is building relationships. And that starts with seeking to understand. And now I don't find any of this stuff easy, honestly. People would say you're a natural, Jeannie. No way.
Well, I started learning etiquette because I think I'm in a comedy all the time, or Candid Camera. I get in the most awkward situations, and I thought, oh, here's a way. I'm going to memorize all the rules, and so I will never be awkward in a situation again. And that is not what it was about. I found out, pretty quickly, yes, there are some rules that you can learn and that you can put into practice. But ideally, you learn those rules and then you put them away. And then you focus on the relationship. So that it does require practice how you're going to answer the phone, practice how you're going to meet somebody. And then once you're comfortable, you sit down and what fork you're going to use, then they can kind of forget them. And so they just become natural. And then they're really positive. I mean, you'll see positive results from them. And so people will want to continue using them.
I think this is the thing, the positive results from the easy stuff. Like when we slow down, take your breath, tell ourselves it's not about me, it's about the person I'm serving. And suddenly, rather than be telling someone how busy I am or I've got to be quick or pitching immediately, I just take a breath and I start being well-mannered and nice and building a relationship. Like, this stuff is actually enjoyable and easy. And then suddenly the results come.
And it's amazing how when we even take a step back to think about that, how we can change a situation and how we can better a situation. Sometimes we just think life is this thing happening around us and we're just responding to things. But no, we are influencing those things much more than we might give ourselves credit for. And so, somebody starts out with a bad day. It's amazing. Their entire day is bad. If you stop to think, what am I grateful for? What can I do? And you just let that be your guiding principle for the day, you will have a better day, more positive. It just really, for me, it was just a game changer to realize it's really about how I react to situations that changes things, and really has, just changed my whole, what I pay attention to. So people say, oh, there's no manners today. And I'm like, oh, I don't see that. What I see are the people who exhibit great manners. And that's just because I've, tuned myself from the negative to the positive.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And like you're saying, every day, because I love this stuff, I'm out there observing the people, the organizations that are getting it so right and so naturally and beautifully and enjoyably. And it's fascinating. And one of my mentors and I talk about it a lot because we're just absolutely fascinated by who's continuing to get it right. And then the impact of the organizations that culturally have developed their employees getting it wrong. I see it in retail as well, and how it's not fun for them and it's not fun for the customer and it doesn't lead to great outcomes. So, Kristi, the other thing I'd love to know, because, it is I feel like it's unique to find someone working in this space with businesses. Who exactly do you work with?
I work with businesses and I love to teach students as well. So I go to colleges and help students kind of, whether it's job prep etiquette or it's dining etiquette, which that's always a popular one because there is so much anxiety about dining out and eating in front of people. But I go to businesses and I go to schools. I teach people one-on-one. I help people with their branding and image, and really just anything where we're thinking about how we can use etiquette to better our relationships and our professional lives.
This is amazing. And I'm sure you would do incredibly with groups. As I mentioned, I'm a supplier to my own industry now. So I help bookkeepers run a thriving practice. And I can just imagine you supporting our group as well with those tools and those aha moments that I'm definitely, every single day in my life, I work at getting better with this stuff. And obviously it serves other people, but maybe in this domain, it might be a little selfish because it serves me so beautifully. You know what I mean? A bit like I find suddenly my relationships, I'm getting more out of them, business and personal. I'm learning more. I'm feeling more calm and clear, like all of this stuff. It's interesting personally. I have found it quite game changing, which is really why I wanted the audience to be able to hear from you today. So what is the best way for, what do you offer? How can people, learn from you? How can they do that?
I offer classes online, and people can sign up by going to my website. It's thepolitecompany.com. And really, every lesson that I do is specialized to what that person wants to do. So there's no blueprint for this. Everyone has different needs that they want to do. So I will tailor a program to those needs, and I can deliver it to businesses, usually in about an hour-long session. And we might do multiple sessions if we want to talk about social media, and we want to talk about professionalism, and we want to talk about gratitude and how we're going to thank people in our businesses. All of those things can be combined into a program, and then I can deliver that in person, or I do it virtually as well.
That is just so amazing. And I just think if you're listening to this, if you just consider the idea of trying this, I promise you, talking from experience, this stuff is game changing. And then just before we kind of work to finishing up, can you share any stories of, you don't have to name names, of someone that you've worked with in the business space that have had a little bit of a transformation by learning and improving in these areas of etiquette?
Well, I worked with business owners, in particular women business owners, who want to do better at networking and they want to be more confident in their skills. But at some point along the way, they've been told that they're not very good at doing that, or they're not good at communicating, or they need to be better at their relationships. And I really enjoy taking that person and giving them hints and tips and, body language. And I'll go to somebody's closet and say, this is great. This is what you don't want to wear. This is your image that you want to portray. I help people with their online presence because that is how we're going to meet people now. Very few people do we meet in person. And so I'll help them with their online presence and how people are meeting them. And it's just a game changer. But I really do love helping women business owners because, that's who I am. And I think I can really relate.
Yeah, amazing. I already want you in my tribe.
I'm in.
You do this way better than I do. Because interestingly, networking, as we were chatting, I was thinking about networking and how a lot of women I know, and I'm sure some of the boys can relate to this too, they go straight into networking feeling, I know I'm terrible at this. I'm sure I'm going to fail. I'm not an extrovert is a great one where they believe you're meant to be an extrovert. I'm an extrovert. I see it as actually something that hinders more than it helps personally. And the grandfather of networking, Ivan Meisner, is an introvert. I've met him. Oh my goodness, amazing. So networking. So I love that you broached that one because networking is somewhere that you want to really make sure that you're improving your etiquette because it's all about building relationships. And definitely I'm seeing bookkeepers, they're avoiding networking for this reason. So it's something I'm really focusing on with my tribe. So Kristi Spencer, I think that is about our time, Belle. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been a delight, and I really, really hope that business owners can just start to think about the ways that they can improve in their business lives and personal lives through etiquette. Thank you so much, Kristi.
Thank you. I enjoyed every minute.
I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. I would love to help you start doing better in business right now by giving you a free little ebook. It's a how-to guide. It's called The 7 Deadly Cash Flow Sins. And also I've developed a business health check for you. It's super high value. Both are available at betterinbusiness.global. If you would like to fire your bookkeeper and hire a strategic bookkeeper to start enjoying a return on investment and get the support you need to optimize your business cash and profit and time well, simply visit betterinbusiness.global, drop me a line and I'll connect you with a certified strategic bookkeeper near you. I'll see you in the next episode.